This type of video has been taking over social media and blowing up clothing brands. And the best part is it's so simple that any brand can make it at any size. Just have a look at this one. Only 1,700 followers, and then they posted this. They got 135,000 views and 1,400 likes. This is totally unheard of. And in today's video, I'm going to give you 5 practical and immediate steps you can take to create this for yourself. But first of all, what even is this video? Well, essentially, it is a comedy short film for clothing brands. And if you've spent any time on social media, you've likely seen these. And they are lifestyle focused, unlike some others that are focused on the product. It's all about the branding behind the film. And the most notable thing about these is the comedy aspect. They're highly exaggerated, and they take an idea to an extreme, which means that the short film acts as almost like a scroll stopper in someone's feed. They're usually 60 seconds or less posted to Instagram Reels, and I'm going to show you an example now from the brand Two Tone, and it starts inside this hall where there's a chess competition going on. We've got an opponent waiting for his other opponent, watching the clock. And as his opponent comes to sit down, it's not who we expect. It's not like the classic nerd. He's like a cool guy. And he's also really good at chess. He's really good at the game. And everyone around him is watching and seeing how he's winning every single round. And he's using his phone. He's ordering Uber Eats. He's doing all these things to show how casual he is about playing the game and how good he is. And I like this part in the film in particular when we see the guy in the bathroom and his opponent is crying in the stall. You can see how it's exaggerated. It's really funny and comedic. It's not trying to be too serious. And it comes to this final round where the winner takes the trophy and we get the tagline, "Take what's yours." It's revealed that he won and he adds the trophy to his collection in the back seat of the car. Really cool, very funny, and something that you can definitely make for your own brand. And so the first step in creating a short film like this is to clarify your branding, because any story that you create will come as a product of who your brand is and who it's for. And so a good question to start with is, what's the lifestyle behind my brand? Or what's the unique belief or ideology that my brand holds? In the case of the brand Two Tone, where we just saw the example, their brand ideology is about being a winner. And you can see that in the tagline where they say, "Take what's yours." And so of course the story is about someone winning in a particular context, but it only comes from when they start with the branding. A few other examples for you is an ideological brand identity, like a mental health brand. It's based in a belief or ideology that people in society associate with. Or how about a lifestyle brand like skateboarding? It's a very specific activity or action. Or maybe a bit of both, which is a self-improvement brand. It has some ideological elements as well as lifestyle traits in there. And if you get really stuck on this, a good place to start is to ask yourself, what does my brand name mean? Because most brand owners have their ideology or brand concept within the name. And if you can draw it out of that, it gives you a good basis and foundation for all the stories that you're going to tell. But we haven't got a story just yet. And so now we need to pick a scenario. And what this is doing is taking our brand identity and picking a situation or location or setting that is representative of some part of that brand identity. And back to the example that I was showing you before, if their brand identity is about winning, they're going to pick a scenario like a chess competition. It's highly specific, and yours needs to be as well. Just think to myself, when I imagine someone doing the things that someone does when they wear my clothing brand, where are they doing that and what are they doing? And that very specific action can be the basis of a scenario or setting where your story is going to be. So my task for you is to list as many scenario options as possible and pick the least obvious one. For example, if you have a football brand and that's the lifestyle that you're selling, the most obvious scenario is going to be something on the pitch. But I'm not going to pick that. I'm going to be listing other scenarios and settings like the bench or like the locker room before or after a game. Or how about the night before the game when I'm getting ready and setting out my shoes and my clothes for the day? Usually the less obvious scenario is going to allow you to create a more original story versus just the soccer pitch, which we've all seen short films for. A final thing to keep in mind is to make it practical and keep it simple. If you're making a brand for entrepreneurs, don't pick a setting like a skyscraper or a complicated office space, which is something that maybe you couldn't get access to without a number of resources that you don't have. So keep it simple. Maybe just do like the home office. That could be a scenario for your brand. And now we need to place someone in this story. And this leads us to creating a character. And in order to do this, the best way is to simply ask yourself who your target customer is and make them the character of your story. Or if you're not sure who your target customer is, just think about someone that you believe embodies the look and feel of your brand and the things that they do in their daily life. You could imagine them wearing your stuff and it just be totally ideal. Make them the character in your story. And what you're going to do is exaggerate their character traits. So make them extremely bad, extremely good, or extremely ordinary at something. And an example of this is in the film we just watched before, we have an ordinary guy who looks pretty cool, but you wouldn't expect him to be a chess player. And so you've got this character that embodies the brand, but his traits are exaggerated in a really interesting way. Some other questions you want to ask yourself are, what are the goals of this character and what challenges do they face? And these questions should relate directly with your brand identity. And so their goal should not be having fun if your brand is all about creating winners, like it is for Two Tone. The goal of a brand that's for winners is to win and to do so at all costs. And the challenges that your character faces should come in direct opposition to their goals. So if my character's goals are to win, then we want a challenge or opposition that might come to attest that and could possibly take that win away from me. And I'm already kind of getting into it, but this leads us to infusing a conflict, because we can have a setting and a character, but without a conflict, we don't have a story. It's just a series of events. And when creating a conflict, as mentioned, you want to create something that directly relates with the goals of your character. So directly challenge that. And this is the part where many brand owners go wrong, especially people that aren't traditionally filmmakers. And it's where they overcomplicate the conflict that they are creating. For example, you don't want to make your story around a conflict about a long lost loved one and the complicated relationship dynamics between them and their grandparents. It's just too much. And so you want to focus on something that is visually obvious. For example, the chess competition, we can see that there are two clear opponents, and most people understand the concept of playing a game like chess and the objective being to win. Also, you want to make this super comical and not serious, because the problem is if you make it too serious, it can easily become cringe, and you don't want to do that. And so if you want to keep it being cool, which if you're like most clothing brands, you probably do, focus on exaggerating things and using irony, or even making it relatable in a really funny way can lean into the comical aspect of your film. And so a chess competition, no one can take that too seriously. Like, it's not dealing with actual topics of seriousness, and so we can laugh about it. Also, as I already mentioned, the character juxtaposes what you'd expect. You expect a nerd to be really good, but he's a cool guy and he's great at chess. This is funny. And once you have all of these elements, you start to have what is the basis of a very well structured story, and you can actually go out and shoot this now. But before that, we have to consider structuring this for social media, because there's a very big difference between making a short film for the screen and a short film for Instagram or TikTok. And it starts with a hook. This is, of course, the first few seconds where any viewer is going to decide to stay or go. And so you want to make this impactful. So don't start with too much orientation where you're introducing the characters and where you are and setting up the scene. As much as possible, you want to start in the middle of a scene. And we see that in the first few seconds of our example, where we are already in the chess competition. We don't see them walking in. Everyone's just seated down and the opponent is checking the time, wondering where his other player is. And this also brings me to another way to create a hook, which is creating a curiosity gap. And it's bringing up questions without giving the answers. It asks the questions, where are we? Who are these people? Why are we here? And we're not going to find out quite yet, and that's okay. But as the audience, we want to find out the answer. So the curiosity gap is the difference between your knowledge of the film and the people in it and the knowledge of the audience. And throughout the film, you're going to bridge that gap. But establishing that there's something we don't know in the beginning makes us want to stay to the end. As well as a hook, you're going to also also want a payoff, which in the context of this film is the twist at the end where he takes the trophy, wins the whole competition, and adds it to his collection. That's not only hilarious, but it also adds a deeper layer of storytelling that says, man, this is not the first time he's done this, and it's really rewarding to see that at the end as a viewer. So you want to find something unexpected that also makes me happy that I waited for the end, that you're going to put in those last few seconds. Finally, when structuring this for social media, you might want to use a tagline at the end, which is almost like a punchline. And for the example, it was take what's yours. It just summarizes the whole idea behind the film and the brand identity in general in just a few words, no more than 4. And if you're really getting stuck on this, what you could do is take your answers to those initial questions that I ask about your lifestyle, brand identity, and what your brand name means. You could enter them into ChatGPT and ask it to create a 2 to 4 word tagline. And this tagline could be something that you use throughout many films or just for this one, and that's okay too. And once you have all of these pieces planned out for your social media short film, you're going to want to do a no sound test. And what this means is to watch through your film without any sound on and see if it still makes sense. And the reason why you want to do this is because Adam Mosseri, the head of Instagram, has been quoted saying that nearly half of all Instagram users watch without any sound.
When it's more immersive when audio is on, and about half the time people have audio turned on when they use Instagram, you're more likely to get someone's attention. And that'll help in terms of getting more likes, comments, and therefore more reach.
That means that if you have a dialogue heavy film that doesn't make sense with the sound off, then it's probably not going to perform as well. Even the example that I gave you before, you watched it without any audio from the film itself. And there are basically no words in this. There's actually 0 dialogue. So my encouragement to you is to create a film that doesn't have any dialogue. And it is a challenge, it's true, but it's actually easier than writing a script. And maybe you've watched through this whole video and you're still stuck on step 1, clarifying your branding. Well, the video on screen right now will give you the exact steps to understanding who you are and who you're serving and who your branding is for. And it's going to allow you to begin filming. So click the video on screen now and I will see you over there. Thanks very much for watching.